in field recording in general is a very specific type of work. So what are the key learnings that you have from your vast experience of what do you recommend people who start out on recording their own sounds in the field to do?
So to answer the last question first, just record, whether it's a small little handheld recorder or even your phone. The more you record things, the more you'll understand how microphones react in different locations, proximity. Just record as much as you can. It's one of the beautiful things about this sort of craft is you can, if you continue to practice it, you incrementally get better and better and better and have a deeper understanding. It really, you after a while you can look back and see the cumulative results of applied practice. It's a fantastic thing to witness within yourself. Some of the key understandings about this are, especially with if you're going to do a very specific project, say it's recording vehicles or it's recording animals, you need to, we can break those up. It's actually probably better to break those up, but you have to do quite a bit of research, a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling. You've got to be very good at communicating. There's been several projects where you can hit a brick wall if you not strategic in the way that you approach people for access, and figuring out especially in areas where maybe in Hollywood there's a lot more sort of infrastructure that's designed around access to animals for filming, and if you want to go record there, they've got a price list. Okay, you want to record a cougar, it's this much per hour or whatever it is. All the projects that I've done have not been that. I've been probably the first person to approach anyone to go like, hey, can I bring a microphone and record your honey badgers or whatever it is, and sort of discuss that and see what they sort of feel about it and expect out of it, and what sort of like remuneration that they would want from it. And there's always a discussion around that.
So communication is key.
Yeah.
In order to prepare your project. I remember a story from Mattia Celotti. I hope I pronounce his name correctly.
He's incredible.
I worked with him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I worked with him on Avatar for Ubisoft for a couple of years now, and he got that library out about explosions in a mountain area because he wanted those reflections, those original reflections from the mountains. And he basically described that it was incredibly difficult to get the permissions of recording those explosions because of so many possible things that could go wrong. And then after releasing or sending out the first emails and telling the people like, look, I want to do explosions, but I'm really careful. And so framing all the danger in the mail, he got all the rejections. And then he kind of, changed the narrative more into the good things about it and not really worrying people up front too much about it. And that's how he got into getting the permissions in the end.
Yeah. That is definitely a very important lesson to learn of how you frame your communications, especially like to get your foot through the door for that first step, for them to be able to get a sense of also like who you are in a way, so that they know that you're not just coming there, like especially like for animal recordings, you're not coming there to antagonize the animals and cause them sort of distress. Having discussions very very much upfront about that is key, and that's a very wise framing in terms of showing all the positives before you start talking about the negatives.
In terms of doing the actual job, because I just rarely did some field recordings. For example, I did a couple of Berlin libraries, like about the sound of Berlin, let's say. In my years there, when there was like an off time or something, then I just, took the field recorder, a couple of microphones, went out and captured like the key sounds that I was always like looking for in my sound design, the tram and the subway and the specific rail kind of creaking at a certain place. And so I did all those things, but there's this routine you get when you do it more often. And if you don't have it, like, it's like, okay, I forgot to press record. Or the first ever field recording I did was like a choir in front of like an audience. So I put like a couple of microphones there and had like a sound devices 788. And the end result was I didn't record because it didn't record. I don't know. I wasn't too familiar with the device. So what is like? Do you have like a kind of checklist or something that is in your mind? Like, okay, I do this first, then this, and I have double checked that so that you are kind of like functioning on a very like effective level.
I have similar stories to that, and actually more recent ones of also, especially when you're using gear that you aren't familiar with. I'm using mostly sound devices throughout my like entire professional field recording life, so I'm very familiar with those. So those feel quite natural. But I had a similar one where using a Zoom recorder, and I'd set up a session recording seals, and I had a Sennheiser MS rig, but then I also had the Sanken Sear 100K. And I just hadn't armed the record track for the Sanken, and I got back to the studio and went, "This is supposed to be three channel file. Why is there only two?" And then realizing, oh, okay, that's my user error. You've got to be a little bit consistent with your gear checks, your cable checks, like. Keeping batteries charged is also a major consideration, and then also like once you've actually recorded stuff, data wrangling and labeling things and queuing things. So I love the new mix pre's, the sound design mix pre's, because you can connect on most modern ones. You can connect with via Bluetooth, and you can really sort of do the file name conventions and file naming really clearly and cleverly and quickly. But I still also always do an audio cue at the beginning, a little slate of like what I'm recording. So if something goes wrong, it'll I'll at least have that as well. Things
so
like
recording. Like, you mean the sound devices have Bluetooth, so you connect it with your phone, and then you do the naming convention just quickly with the phone?
Yeah, through the Wingman app.
Okay.
That's really, really handy. But yeah, still revert back to an audio cue. Audio slate in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also, making sure you have your SD cards ready and waiting and clean before any big session. Getting a list of gear of what you're actually going to take with you, and just making sure that all of that is functioning. But also then having spares, having spare mic cables, because you never know, something can happen, especially with like vehicle recordings. Often you're threading little lav mics. I've got a bunch of the DPA lav mics, and those are super strong cables, but you are threading them through crevices and parts that move, and you can easily sever a cable. So it really depends on the scale of your project. If it is if you've gone through a lot of effort to reach a location, or paid a lot of money to be at a location, it really sort of makes you really take that more seriously. I've also have my sort of run and gun setups ready to go. So if there's something interesting happening outside, or some weather event, or one of those sorts of things. I can quickly go out and grab it. Yeah, I think it depends on the. For me, it depends a bit on the nature of the project. If it's vehicles or if, that sort of stuff, that my attentive level to gear and setup is a lot higher than on a sort of more relaxed project.
I get that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. What I heard is that it's important to have like your batteries ready, your SD cards ready, your gear ready, that you like are awake and really check if all your channels are enabled and that you are familiar with the gear you're using. And another thing that I learned from recording a rubbish disposal truck, because we had a movie about those people that work in that field. So it was like A-list starring with German actors film about the Berlin rubbish disposal company.
Yeah.
So we wanted to record that truck to get all the different sounds for the movie. And then I went there. I had also a couple of DPAs, put them in the cockpit, and then we recorded everything. And once we were done, the driver of the vehicle, he helped me unmounting all the microphones. So he just took the DPA from the window and gave it to me. And I think he somehow crashed the cable. So the microphone was gone.
Yeah.
500 euros or something. And that was my learning then, like, okay, do the technical installment yourself, because you know the gear and you have to pay for it. So did something like that happen to you? Some of those learnings, like painful learnings?
I've luckily had not that many gear. I think I've been very precious about that. I've really made sure that I'm myself or somebody that I really trust with it is doing all of that, because I could foresee those sorts of things happening. People just don't really have an understanding of the fragility of some of that equipment.
Okay, so you were just a bit smarter than me.
No, well, I've had incidents that got relatively close to losing a lot of gear. I was recording honey badgers in South Africa. This is one of the issues that you run into often with recording animals, that you're not going to go out and to find a wild animal, because you'll waste so much time, and it's just actually not worth the effort to do that. It's so unpredictable, so many other noise sources. So you go to a location where you know you'll have access, but that also means that all these animals are human to custom, so they don't necessarily react in the normal way. And these honey badgers have a massive reputation of being sort of grumpy and ferocious, but these ones are well fed and a bit lazy. So the only way that I could get a bit of reaction from them was to bring the microphone, the blimp, like really, really close. So I've got these Rycote Cyclones on the end of a boom pole, trying to get as close as well to sort of bring the mics as close as possible to the sound source, but also just that would annoy them. And I got really good at getting it out the way just as they would pounce on it, except for the one time where I ended up with an entire honey badger like clinging to the cyclone on the end of the boom pole. And I realized that if she didn't let go, those microphones would belong to her, because I wasn't going to be the one to explain how I let a honey badger escape from its compound up a boom pole.
Just one question, like, what is a honey badger? What's honey badger? Yeah? What's that of an animal?
It's a little bit like a wolverine. It's sort of, I think it's closest to a wolverine or a Tasmanian devil. It's fairly small, but it's incredibly ferocious, and it's famous for being able to fend off lions that try and attack it. And its favorite food is black mamba. It's one of the most poisonous snakes in Africa, and it'll actually let the black mamba bite it, and that would absolutely kill a human. But they just sort of sleep it off and then finish eating the black mamba when they wake up from their little nap. They're incredible creatures, and they make this most bizarre alien chittering sound and these like vicious growls. So we recorded a bunch of those for, I think it was for the Callisto project. We did a creature source library through Boom for the developers, and it's a weird sounding creature.